After decades around the game, I'd seen it all. Every possible scenario, all manner of wild finish, nothing on the basketball court could possibly shock me. And then, this happened. And it wasn't like this was a tense back and forth down the stretch. The Cavaliers had a 7-point lead with 48 seconds to go in the game. So how did we get here? The Cavs controlled the entire game, starting out with this nifty set, zoom action for Donovan Mitchell as he comes off a pin down into handoff, and they added Spain action when Strus sets a back screen for Jarrett Allen's man. Even though that brought a second defender to Mitchell, nobody could stop him from getting 48 points tonight. And file this under basketball. What is it? As they start the attack right at the half-court line, Tyrese Haliburton switches onto the ball, Aaron Nembhard is late recognizing it, and that forces Miles Turner to step up to the sharpshooting Max Strus, leaving little Nembhard to chase Big Allen into the lane as he throws it down. To start the second quarter, they slip the ball screen to Mitchell, then flare screen Merrill using Dean Wade. This made Pascal Siakam think that his man wasn't the threat, and late reacting to the quick flow into a ball screen. Going under the handoff gives Wade all the room he needs to knock this down. Here's that same zoom action we saw earlier in the game, but they run it for Strus. Notice that instead of Ty Jerome back screening Allen's man, he sets a flare screen for Okoro in the corner. But the Allen roll forced Nembhard to tag, allowing Mitchell to attack a short closeout. Once he gets his shoulder into your side going in either direction, it's pretty much over as he makes a nice inside hand finish. To combat the Pacers' aggressive pressure in the backcourt, the Cavs started their offense at the half-court line as Okoro takes Nembhard out of the play, leaving poor Haliburton to backpedal against a fast guard going downhill at full speed. With that much energy behind him, he can take off from the dotted line and just posterize Siakam for the 10-point lead. I mean, this is utterly vicious and should have been worth more than 2 points. It's a bit unfair for the Cavs that they had to go in Indiana with 2 starters and their 6th man sidelined for the game, but Mitchell took it upon himself to be that guy and drive the entire bus over the Pacers by forcing the switch on this ball screen. While he can't create an advantage against Aaron Nesmith, Nembhard is left guarding Allen under the rim. Great job to scram switch him out of there by Turner, but they catch Siakam sleeping for a bit, allowing Ty Jerome to get right into the lane, distracting Turner long enough to allow Allen to hit his little jump hook. The Pacers are trying to use full court pressure to wear out the Cavaliers, and it just wasn't working last night. Strus goes to set a screen first before realizing he's got to step on Haliburton as Wade throws a perfect lead pass and allows him to stay in front of Haliburton long enough to just smash this all in Turner's face from 12 feet out. This gave the Cavs a 20-point lead and a feeling of invincibility. And into the fourth, Mitchell continued to give them that calm leadership by bumping the lighter and weaker Haliburton out of the way, and the short roll pass gives them a 2-on-1 at point-blank range. But the Pacers put their foot on the gas at the end of the third to begin to close the gap. With Toppin getting back late and giving up the open three, it meant he'd be in front of everyone else if this shot missed. Mitchell just started walking when the shot went up instead of running back, and the lead starts to shrink. Now watch the timing of the Pacers break. Mathurin cuts back to the ball to get open at the same time Haliburton is diagonal cutting into the middle. Merrill has no choice but to show to the ball, and Haliburton knows how to set up his teammates. There's been some physicality in this series, and Strus reminds us of this as he politely bumps into Haliburton, causing him to flail into the stands, but it helped him as Merrill had no idea he was still there, and Hallie blocks the shot, igniting the break with his perfect pass and nice reverse finish by Mathurin to cut the lead to 9. Despite having an 11-point lead into the fourth quarter, the Cavs elected to pressure Haliburton deep in the backcourt, enabling him to beat Okoro and force the slower Merrill onto him. I don't think this is a playoff foul as there is some contact near the waist, but it dissolves way before his last step into the jump, where he embellishes before lofting it off the glass and in for an and one. And despite being down 3 major players, the Cavs were in full control of this game late, with Mitchell playing the MVP role by making sure this possession ended with some points, muscling Nembhard into the lane before drawing illegal contact to the shooting arm. But he was clearly exhausted from doing all the heavy lifting and hits back rim, which ended up being good since it came right back to him. It's notable he grabbed this rebound legally by not putting his foot onto the red paint until after the ball hit the rim. I think he should have dribbled this out instead of forcing up a tough one in tight quarters, since the Pacers turned this into a break. Transition defense is crucial in these situations. Dean Wade should have picked up the ball, not Jarrett Allen. But they can't make that happen properly, so we've got yet another Hallie Allen ISO. I don't blame Allen for worrying about the three-point shot since he got tortured with it in Game 1. So Haliburton simulates the step back with the hop and head fake, Allen bites, and gives up the easy layup to cut the lead to 4. But the Cavs do this possession perfectly. They run the clock down to 14. Mitchell survives a perilous double team in half court by spinning out of there to his left. Okoro is smart to short roll to the nail since it keeps Nembhard in place just in case the pass goes there. Great lift by Strus, perfect step through to pass by Mitchell, and the open shot should be the nail in the coffin. I'm so used to seeing defenses switch everything, it was startling watching Cleveland stick to their men, which got Nembhard wide open on this curl, but Okoro physically sticks to Haliburton towards the sideline. The only way this play could have been better is if Turner set the flare screen, and not enough players utilize the vertical space above the floor to pass the ball. Great way to put it where only Haliburton can catch it with an advantage to boot, and because they didn't switch everything, Allen is caught guarding Turner in the corner, so he cannot help and risk giving up a wide open corner 3. I don't know why Okoro was pressing here. The one thing you want to do is slow the losing team down and make them eat up clock, not speed everything up and, worst of all, have to switch in the backcourt so now Strus has to guard Haliburton in space going downhill. Big mistake, and they easily penetrate right to the front of the rim and Cleveland is forced to foul. Here's where it started to get a little bit nuts. Siakam chokes the first free throw, and remember, on this one, the rule states that no player above the three-point line can touch the floor inside that three-point line until the ball is released. Check where Nesmith is when the ball is out of Siakam's hand. This is patently unfair to Mitchell, who was staying within the rules and had no chance to block him out. Neither did the others closer to the basket, and he rises up to dunk this. While the referees reviewed the play, it was only to make sure it wasn't offensive goaltending. But in this instance, they're not allowed to go back further and assess a lane violation and wave off the basket. So that's the first thing that had to break right for the Pacers to get closer. Down 5, the Pacers are wise to press and try for some steals and speed up the Cavs. But Mitchell is certainly not wise to rip through with his elbows at face level. And he's extremely lucky this wasn't a flagrant foul. Clear contact at the head, definitely excessive, but perhaps this was the basketball gods evening it up after the refs missed the lane violation. It was just too easy for the Pacers to combat the pressure the Cavs were trying to put on Haliburton by ball screening at half court. Now Allen has to guard him again in space. He ends up coming through big time by blocking the shot. Remember, if he contacts the ball first, any contact at the wrist is deemed incidental, but the Pacers get another shot at it. The sideline out of bounds was defended very well, right up to the point where Wade, who was guarding Turner in the corner, decided to close out to Siakam at a bad angle. He should have just let Allen close out from the basket. Now he's giving up a straight line drive. Allen decided to bail to the corner and they get an uncontested layup in the final minute of a playoff game. It's hard to see how this sideline play was drawn up, but it's a box with simultaneous pin downs. However, why are they pinning down for Allen on the weak side? Why isn't he setting the pin down and then coming to the ball? So the answer is they don't want him to get fouled since he's a 72% shooter, but that's not that bad. And the alternative is trying to get a post up from Ty Jerome and a dying Quayle that falls right into Nembhard's arms. They decided to leave Jerome all by himself on an island up top with Haliburton, and after 2 games of this, I think you've got to send a second defender and make anyone else beat you. And because Turner can shoot from the corners, the one guy that can mitigate Hallie penetration is stuck guarding the corner. Kenny Atkinson needs to adjust this and get Mitchell guarding Turner in the corner when he can, so Allen can roam the paint. Instead, it's a close call. I really like the verticality by Mitchell here, but maybe his left arm coming down slightly made them think it was a foul, but I'm not sold. And that brings us to the ending that is not to be believed. This wasn't an intentional miss. It ends up being one of those things. Allen was doing his job to box out, but when you've got 250 pounds leaning on you, it's almost impossible to get up in the air. Mitchell meets the ball at the same time as Turner, but Turner wins by tipping it back towards the right side. And it just happens to go right to Haliburton. Does he travel to begin this move? Yeah, it's close enough that the refs aren't going to split hairs for a couple of frames of video where maybe the ball is touching his hand while his pivot raises off the floor, but now you've got a cold-blooded killer who doesn't seem to be affected by pressure attacking in space. Give credit to Jerome for playing good defense, but again, I just think you have to make anyone else beat you by running a second defender at him inside of 5 seconds. That doesn't happen, and the Pacers literally steal this game from the Cavs. The one saving grace Cleveland has is that they can get healthy in Game 3. But coming back from a 2-0 deficit as the favored team is almost impossible.